I have done a lot of videos since yesterday. There is like it came on happening a severe different moments and situations in my life. For a long time, perhaps I made a lot of lyrics, poetry. I presented perhaps some videos on singing. I made them perhaps a lot of publishings around music, histories, Adonai Kevenas, Adonai, not the cycles, the generation of officialism, Kirchners and Sodoma it's Argentina, sciences, well from heaven. Adonai has given us a lot of things. We have been taking a so special moment. Adonai has delivered us into gracias, special realities, giving us not only the guiding word, moments to keep on, strength to go on. Suddenly we had a lot of things in Adonai given us, and still does. Around this moment, I am a little bit like in a soul of strength. I am feeling so like away from my meant for life I were around. Just needing a lot of things, and most of all helping my friends and trying to give something good around all we are. Much of times because of everything that we are going through, feeling a little bit misplaced, or somebody perhaps thinks I am a hypocrite. I'm feeling so really crappy for the reason of a lot of friends are under rape and I should be doing something for. There's not like I don't. I am so tired of everything and I am so trampled, and there is no justifying for nothing at all. And even being tired, I should make what I should do. And dealing with as all we have in the world, and how do we go on. Have you ever know what it's like to be just like a host in the middle of a war, which you know you can do a lot and you can give so much and you can try much more than, and even establish rules, but suddenly you know that whatever you do is for your enemies to making harms about the ones you love, and to never let you get a thing, and you to never reach out life and the best you can even holding around. Life around this all lately for me, to me, what a very won't say like a waste, because of ain't nothing wasting with Adonai. It is a simple like taking a moment to reflect, and more than reflexive being, simple like a very instant in life that somebody can suddenly take away to recognize, and having the reality for everything as we to go for, and trying to get the epiphanic moment so we can suddenly try about some better to making there exist. Whenever we understand what we are, who we are, what we do, who we do, and understanding which to be, the essential about this all. I mean, whoever to be, whatever to be, as ever to be, whenever to be. The truth is, are you conscious about the truth around your life and who you meant to be and what for? How this will be whenever the truth to bring up, the moment for you to reflect around how this will ever happen in your life. And how will this you ever making be around? How will this means about your life and about you to be? And how will this get around your name and your person about what you want? This is a very arbitrary, somebody can say, around. So much differently reality over whatever anybody can have around one or another. And one or another at the differences about whoever to be, because if we are talking, not everybody is good, not everybody is sane, not everybody is willing to making a right thing, and not everybody is willing to trying the best, not everybody is willing to giving something around who we are and what worth on the reality of the worthy. Suddenly the worthy for one can be loving and having a family and having a good job, making a career, having a very developed living quality to accede into a very good moment in life so you can understand your worth. But for others, worth can happen around being just a miserable son of a snake and getting around destroying and raping and murdering people or robbing to people and making forgery and arming any kind of a corruptive degenerations and saying that's worthy, which happens all the time. But at the reality of us, what will we concern this to be worthy? And whenever I say worthy, I mean the real values that much of times in the suffering and harms of the world we have lost. And this means around the reality of who is who and what is what and what means about what and about whom all around whatever or everything. So suddenly on the truth of the soul, what do we concern to be worthy? I mean, the world is fall apart in pieces, and the people normally takes consciences about us can survive it, or thinking that gotta be, or making to be, or simply reach out, or a very conscience formated around whatever you lived, suffered, built, or made in. And around this whole things that we go ahead and we can think about this whole, what can mean worth? What is be worthy? And suddenly not everybody will give the same relates and definition for. So in the clear thinking over this soul, we can say, but who can talk about what's worth and who can say what's worth, especially this kind? We are the law and we make the law. Machiavelli, corruptive genocider, the first of all, around the law-making, with a lot other, which he learned from, but the master of the manipulation, the master of the corruptors, used to saying that the law is made by the man, and the man builds the law and makes the law exist and makes the law to act forwarding, to executing about, and to building around it like the man concerns to be law. And he came to saying that men were law, whatever it is to be, man makes the law being and exist. So he proposed that anything that the power man to have the control and the domain and the power and submitting everybody else is that its conscience about what law will be to can do anything, like the media justifies the whole of the ends, which is corruptive. Anybody can interpreting this at the anyway, which does and happens, especially this kind. So suddenly, what is values and what is a pattern of the worth? And everybody can say, well, we can go to God. But I tell you, but the world normally doesn't says, let's go to the Bible. And the Bible, as Roman, doesn't says exactly the worth and the values and what it means about law and morals and the reality, but approaching. So suddenly I can say, okay, let's go into Torah, let's go into Yeshua law, but everybody can say, but we have the Takliki Menecha, the Quran, or we have the Belshebe, or we have the Al-Kami, or we have the Tishkima. And the religion of the free expression is totally complete in the whole of the world, accepted and able for the we to do as our ethnics and cultures, whatever we to say. So what do? The world falls in pieces apart, and this is what we have all around. So suddenly, what do we concern worth to be? Have you any time in your life, any moment in epiphanic condition, got a bright moment to think, how will this be about we to exist, whenever you understand the chronological character of the what sciences of the mental health and the health around says? Because of the pleasures and the pain drives the person into the pleasure is glad and the pain is rejected. So suddenly you act forward the instincts. But we are not animal. So the conscience comes to act forward in conflicts between feeling, emotions, and thought, and also for the whole of the what humanly we gotta survive. Complexity is not like 5 minutes talking psychodiagnosis example, but suddenly we can understand around this all. How do we concern what about pleasure and pain will the worth and the values be? Does pleasure concerns about anything that pleasures to give you in a very not understanding corruptive state and not really healthy condition for you to assimilating and formated about whatever to gives you pleasure, even killing a person to be okay? And even raping a person or severe persons to be okay? Gives you pleasure. But the pleasure is not a value. It's not a worth, it's not a pattern of morals, and not the right thing. Pleasure is part of our lives. But whenever you see pain, because of that gives me pain, I'm doing the right thing, because of I think that over feeling pain, I won't accede into making those kind of things, so suddenly I can control this all, but the feeling the pain, I won't go. Is that a pattern of moral and that okay? I mean, you are not going to go to pain and to suffer and to making yourself or cause yourself a harms or a wound or a very damage, but suddenly there are things that you make in life that because of the reason we are around and we are social and we have the outside affects us and the we affects there, suddenly the truth around the soul, we understand we have to do things. We have to do this. So whenever we do this and we understand what we are doing, the reality is, are we going to let to do a right thing and a clear thing because of cause us pain? I am not saying you to be a masochist. I am saying there are things in life that drives you into making a lot of other things which you just go ahead and makes us possible to be. So suddenly we can say, give a word 48. We can say Ephesia 18, and we can say Romania 21 in the Yeshua and Law book. So at the reality of this soul, we just get the point of this soul, how to possibly this can be, and how to possibly we can do something around what worth and values and morals is. Well, simple. Whenever you understand there is something that casts damages into another, whenever you understand something casts damages into you, whenever you understand there is something that passed by for the whole of the bet in kalmet in shmitam balbetra balti echamad spilti metra molvedeshka vel chamat lenemenei kinashmanov kelvet amal blet an kalchamet yeshmot lenti vet kaim balvet amal velachachan moshemed kelvet amal tiefot lostki se in kimish kolbet an kalkeika sambor lamanechor asvet Skelshot la matravi da sebeli tomosh vlutran kebeletika se savli shmot ka el hey dashit anektik amanachal shmot la dekinim elvet ankel matrena fot la dia shafot la dektik amanachala shacha intal inkadert namat an khoel shmot zit lektika meshkal belecha sa etlemenecha kebelet ratika shamal chachiminat lemenio kobletan belfot la deshmenecha אינס'ט רבלקי מטלמנך חל שמת לדיקי מנחם זה יתרבלתרי מוחל שחת לחחאים בית אינקל מטר מלך אחי שחנבי תיקל דבל תרמלתי מוסף לתמל שחל בלי אינתקל כמיניה בסוטלו את רבלפו דסופט לומת אנקיל כי ברכחם שיט לי קי קבלך מלתרך דשמות לידי תיקה פאן חולמת אנשמות לוג אינקה מטרהם גט רמול פלט אמל ספי שוף על פלט אינקל תריך דשוף לומת לאינמות ליתן חלחב שאיליק תקל מדרחילים בסוף למטר מליופו של חדלתיקה אל קיבות למטר אנקיל מינש כומל חכים זאת לא בוטרם פול ולתרך שוש לאינטל אנקלחם so that suddenly you can have a conscious or reflexive moment and understand what one, what another, where we, where they, what I, what he, her, she, it, them, us. And there you can start to understanding if you cannot think or changing that, you are abducted. If you cannot making it happen differently, you are corrupted. And if you have a vices of life, you gotta effort to try to taking off and making better. So what the reality of the bled ramal bedash melecha chalikini mitam b'shpot ledeika, don't you think that we got something to do? And well, suddenly I have a very resonant voice, which I wanted to make in locution, but for the same problems I couldn't do no much here because of you do and we kill them. And some other. So it's incapable, nothing good can do, and this is all ours. But seems to be that like I have a very resonant voice and bothers people and says that I'm screaming. Because if I'm just talking naturally, like I do. That is so like out loud, and we cannot talk here live. But suddenly there happens a lot of things. I'm sorry. Bertramol feta melesi shefel vlotan kalkimi trincha labot lemenia shefol tenei chadav shlemadam. So suddenly this is on March 22, 2014. I am Alejandro Mario Blanco Redemi in Buenos Aires, the same La Continental, here in Corrientes Avenue and Mario Bravo Street, 1604 Buenos Aires hour. And I said you with this, I hope this to worth. And Adonai to bless all as the testimony of his name, as victims of war that innocence pours, and every one of his that he recognizes himself. Shalom.